Miami fans, I feel for you. College football fans, I feel for us. We hope everyone's safe out there. We hope everybody's healthy. By all indications that I've seen from the circumstances involving all sports, all major American sports, whether this be college basketball, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, and our beloved college football, these athletes are relatively healthy through all of this, but it's the COVID guidelines and concerns is what it is about the spread of the virus, not necessarily the health of those involved and those that tested positive. But we're here live because we've got another cancellation during the bowl season. Miami will not play in the Sun Bowl against Washington State, and unless something changes drastically, Washington State will not play anyone in the Sun Bowl. And this is, I believe, our fourth bowl that's been affected by COVID. Boston College has withdrawn from its game against East Carolina in a bowl game to be played, would have been played on Monday. Yeah, it was supposed to be played on Monday. Boston College cannot play or will not play. Virginia, SMU, that was a bowl game slated for Wednesday. I believe that was the Military Bowl. SMU and Virginia. Virginia will not play. Bronco Mendenhall's final game at Virginia, not played. And I'm trying to think of the other game that was not played. But then, of course, we had the first shoe that dropped was the Texas A&M COVID concerns, and they were able to be replaced by Rutgers for the New Year's Day Gator Bowl game against Wake Forest. What can we do, or what could be done? Is there going to be anything attempted to be done about the Sun Bowl or about the opponents for SMU and East Carolina? I don't think so. It doesn't appear to be the case. Ironically, it's been, I believe, well, the other game would have been Hawaii and Memphis in the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. Hawaii, the home team, the team that's right there, could not play, not the team traveling. Memphis made it all the way to Hawaii. They were ready to play a football game on Christmas Eve, and Hawaii backed out. So we're here to talk about all the cancellations and basically the concerns about college football and the bowl season and the playoffs. How about the playoffs? But in particular, talking Miami football. I would like to hear from Miami fans. We, of course, have two Miami live streams each and every week. Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern time with the Wholesome One right here on the Miami channel. And then also Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam Underwood from State of the U, breaking down Miami football. So Miami football has been good to us here at the Voice of College Football, and we believe and hope that we have been good to Miami football coverage. And by monitoring your feedback, we have been. And so I wanted to jump on here with all these cancellations coming down involving a number of teams, but most notably and most recently, Miami, to get the Miami fan perspective on this situation and how much you're going to miss seeing the Canes play. So they played against Duke the last Saturday of November, and without a bowl game, we're not going to see Miami football. We're not going to see, for your particular college football team, if you're a Boston College fan, you're a Texas A&M fan, if you're a East Carolina, SMU, Hawaii fan, Virginia fan, you're not going to see your team until next September. It's a long time. It's not the NBA. It's not that, okay, well, our team didn't make the playoffs and we're not playing in May and June, but we're going to start playing in October. It's almost a year. It's almost a year. Late November to early September. It's more than 9 months. It's pushing 10 months. It's a long, long time to go without college football. So I feel bad for you, Miami fans. I feel bad for us as college football fans because I look forward to these games, and especially once the Power 5 teams start playing. And again, aside from Hawaii, it's been all Power 5 teams that have opted to pull out of these games. And I don't know the particulars of whether they said, hey, we don't have enough players to play, or basically not meeting the guidelines and not able to play, not meeting the guidelines with enough players to hit the field. And, that is something that's kind of gotten away from us to a certain extent, that we knew exactly what the guidelines were concerning college football games being played or not played, canceled, postponed in the 2020 season. There were those games that were canceled because a particular team or pair of teams did not meet the COVID guidelines. But then there were also some opt-outs of sorts where a team still met the guidelines, but determined that they did not have the personnel prepared and ready to play a game and opted not to play. Miami fans, who did you want to see play in this game? That's something that we talked about with Cam and with Wholesome One last week. Because regardless of the opt-out situation with early entries to the NFL draft, I always look forward to seeing, I look forward just to seeing a good college football game, but I also look forward to prepping for the 22 season and for seeing the players that are going to have to fill the void, the players that are going to have to step up, the players that are going to be given a larger, more impactful role, and how they're going to respond against a good team. In this case, not a great team, but a good team, a decent team, quality team, Washington State. And so Miami fans, let me know who you're disappointed in particular. I would think top of the list, even though he doesn't need to prove himself, TVD, Tyler Van Dyke, that you really wanted to see him throw up about 350 to 400 yards on another opponent like he's done week after week after week after week. This guy has not disappointed. Stepped in against Central Connecticut State, bam, and then took off against good competition past that. The next game that they played was the Virginia game that they should have won. They clanked the kick off the goalpost. Otherwise, they would have beaten Virginia. And that was the last game that he played it was still a well-played game considering his lack of experience. But after that, they were just ridiculously good efforts out of him against Pitt, NC State, against some good teams. So I would think TVD would be the top of your list. Not that he has anything to prove, but just to see him slinging around the field 35 or 40 times again. He was putting up some massive yardage totals in those games. All right, I'm going to get to the comment section. As you can see down below, we are always looking for sponsors. So sponsor the Voice of College Football right here at the Voice of College Football. Contact me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. So that's whether you own a business and I could explain fully how we could benefit you, or if you're in connection, if you're in connection with a team, connection with a company that could benefit from sponsoring us, please hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. But this sucks. David, thank you so much for hitting the dislike button. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. David has paid a premium, I believe. I believe his $100 ticket was, unfortunately, we reneged on our commitment to Dave there. He paid, I think, $100 a ticket for this particular show, and we were late. I apologize for being late. John Doe's here, best helmet in the house. Do we have it back here? I should display it here. Let's get that out of the way. You folks do not appreciate the Gators helmet back there. There we go. Miami front and center. Right behind me. John's a Texas fan, Dallas Cowboys fan. More canceled Bulls. Yes. So let's look at the story that came down. We'll go to ESPN just to see. There's probably no more information here than what we've seen. But Andrea Adelson, ESPN writer, Miami will not participate in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against Washington State. COVID-19 issues, the school announced. Miami delayed its departure for the game until the day before kickoff in an effort to play the game. At the time, Sun Bowl executive director Bernie Olivas told ESPN, "We are not absolutely positive they are going to come, but they have told us, I believe them, they are doing everything they can to play." So Washington State arrived on Sunday. That would be today, apparently, for Friday's game. In a statement, Miami Deputy Athletics Director, Chief Operating Officer Jennifer Strawley said the number of COVID-19 cases affecting the team's roster made it impossible to play. Don't have enough players to safely compete. We're extremely disappointed that our football team will be unable to participate. Team worked hard, earned a bowl invitation. I want to thank interim coach Jeff Simpson, our football staff. We regret the impact this has on Washington State and their postseason experience. I want to commend the Sun Bowl Association. We are grateful for their support as an Atlantic Coast Conference Bowl partner, which leads me to, look at this. We've had 5 games impacted, 4 canceled, 3 of the 4 involving and directly attributed to ACC teams pulling out of the game. Virginia, Miami, BC. Okay, so Washington State Athletic Director, not that you Miami fans care about this, but we all as college football fans care. Washington State Athletic Director Pat Chun said in a statement that the school is working with the Pac-12 and the Sun Bowl to hopefully find a replacement opponent. It was stated by somebody recently that there could be a possibility of having a team that's already played in a game play in another game. I think that the sponsorships should give up some money. So these big companies sponsor these games. So in this case, it's Tony the Tiger. It's Kellogg's, right? Sponsoring the game. Give up some money, pay it to a team, pay the players, bring them in, let them play. So whether that's a team that's already played a bowl game, a UCF, a Florida might be a good opponent. Florida's a bit disheveled with their coaching transitions, so they probably would not be interested. But a number of other teams might be interested in playing another game. Otherwise, you're going to another 5-17. You're looking at Illinois. Who in the world else went 5-7? TCU? Whomever. So they're going to try to find an opponent. There you go. Well, Jay Morris, I would think that the payout isn't going to happen. If you don't have a game, they don't make any money on TV. They don't make any money at the gate. They make zero money. If anything, it costs them money. It costs them money because they have people working for the bowl. They brought the team there, although I don't know what the financial considerations are there, that they would probably, I would think that this bowl might be a little bit liable to at least help Washington State travel back if they're not going to find them an opponent. So, yeah, nobody's making money here. People are losing money. And Mr. HD was looking forward to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Wanted to win that one. Peanut Butter Heroes telling us that East Carolina has not been in a bowl game in 7 years, and now their bowl is canceled. I feel bad for them. I don't know what that says. Okay, yeah, East Carolina. Maybe that's the opponent for Washington State. So we've got Memphis, SMU, Washington State, East Carolina, all without bowl opponents and still apparently eligible to play. We have some strong opinions coming in. I certainly understand. I will not get into that part of it. It's good to know George's bedtime plans. Going to bed at 6:30 tonight. Probably wake up at 2 in the morning. Maybe we'll be here. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. Michael, I believe you sent me your URL. You should be a moderator. We should have about 4 more moderators here. Biggs Mikes, thank you so much. The only Buckeye fan I can watch. Go Blue. I'm glad that I'm the guy. Again, Miami fans, we want to hear from you in particular, but everybody else as well. Michael, I see your question. Not necessarily going to go into that right now since we're talking about, I can talk about that in May. We're talking about the situation involving these bowl games and anything else that's going on right now, folks. Anything else you want to talk about, and leave questions and comments in there. We may fire up the phone lines. We'll see. Mike, good to see you. Thank you so much for that. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas as well. The real MVP, yes, apparently the Sun Bowl and Washington State looking for an opponent. Illinois was next in line, apparently, after Rutgers filled the void against Wake Forest. So Washington State, Illinois, there's your Sun Bowl, possibly. Hey, Don, good to see you. Thank you so much for your contribution right here. Don says, someone get John Hall some hand sanitizer. He's afraid of COVID, probably does his studies via Zoom. You'll be fine, John. Turn off the news. All right. Well, I just read them. At some point, I just read them and don't know what that little squabble's about right there. John Hall says, Western Kentucky or Fresno State. John, we do appreciate you being here. John, thank you for being here. Okay. Bobby, roll Tide. We are getting political. Curveball, yeah, COVID is a dangerously high survival rate. Be afraid. SEC dog, great show. Mark Rogers, love what you do, sir, but I'm tired of this COVID BS. I hear you. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, not necessarily in the exact middle, but between the two extremes, because we're talking about something that is life-threatening to certain people. God Clemson, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So how many bowl games have been canceled? We're at 3 right now, right? We missed the Hawaii Bowl. We're going to miss this BC East Carolina game, the SMU Virginia game, and then the Miami Washington State game. So we're at 4 games, and then we had to replace another team. But that's where we stand right now. Think about it. Here we are on December 26th, going to be close to the 27th here. It's almost midnight. The 27th, New Year's Eve, the 31st, only 4 days away. Fingers crossed, college football playoffs. Curveball. Mark, serious question. How long do you think it takes for Miami to play for the ACC title based on how things seem to be going? Why cannot Miami play for the ACC championship in 2022? I don't know that that's going to be my prediction, but there is no Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, name a bunch of other teams, but those at the top, of course, in their division. The best program in their divisions, other than them, North Carolina. The best team, it's anybody's guess. The best team this past year was Pitt. And they beat Pitt head-to-head on the road. and Pitt's losing its quarterback and his best wide receivers. Probably its best players along the defensive front that led the nation in sacks. Why can't Miami be the best team in the Coastal? Now, if Clemson gets it pulled together, there might still be a major gap between Clemson and Miami to win the ACC, just like there was in 2017. But in 2017, they played for an ACC championship. To play for the ACC title, 2022. Virginia Tech's in transition. North Carolina is switching out quarterbacks. They've recruited extremely well. North Carolina should be the main competition in 22. But Miami's going to bring back the best quarterback in the division. They're going to bring back the best talent in the division. Now they have a coach who has proven that he can win. He won at Oregon, and we could poke holes and make complaints or criticisms of a few letdowns, and I did as well. What happened against Utah twice in the span of 3 to 4 weeks is not to be brushed aside, but overall, you've upgraded the head coach and the quarterback that we saw for 8 or 9 games. He's going to go through a workout conditioning program, spring ball, summer ball, with the receivers that he was able to develop a chemistry with in a very short period of time. Now he has a complete offseason aside from Charleston Rambo, who was the major cog, of course, but all the younger guys are going to come back. It's right now. Win the division in 22. Yes, Johnny. Official. Well, Roger, we shall see if your theory is correct. But yeah, the playoffs make considerably more money than bowl games. But bowl games make a lot of money. Ballard. I think Diaz was a great recruiter and defensive mind at Miami. Getting Cristobal gives them a more grounded leader to truly help the team play to their potential. Thoughts, Mark? Yeah, Mario Cristobal's led football programs before. He led a struggling, middling program at FIU where, by all indications, despite his poor record, he did a nice job there. Then Oregon was the real test, and we see the results. Are the results amazing, remarkable? No, they're not elite, but there weren't, over the past 3 seasons, that many teams in the country that accomplished more than Oregon. Maybe 15? He had a top 15 program at Oregon. They were not a top 15 program when he arrived. John Hall says, Mark, should we wait until the end of the season to fire coaches? Well, when you say we, are you talking about college football in general? We live in a free country, so somebody can be fired at any time. So I would hate to dictate or try to dictate, because it couldn't be done, to dictate to institutions when they can fire someone. It's better for some people involved. John, that is something when you say Cristobal cannot coach worth a lick in game, that is something we're going to have to keep our eye out for. When Oregon was playing for a college football playoff position, and there are teams almost every week the last month of the season that are playing for a college football spot that lose games. So it wasn't so much that. It was that they didn't show up. And then 2 to 3 weeks later, they're playing for a Pac-12 championship. And you almost never see this when two teams get together twice in a season where the outcome, unless, and they're usually good teams because usually bad teams would not play, or one good team, one bad team don't play twice in a season. You got to meet in a championship or postseason situation to meet that second time. So they're usually good teams. And when do you see a similar result? You may see the same team win both games, but just pound them. It was almost the exact score. It was almost the exact game. It was over at halftime. You can lose 38-10 and actually still be in the game at halftime. You can lose 38-10 and it was 14-10 at halftime. But they got murdered the first half. Both games didn't show up. So there was no adjustment that was effective, at least, between game one and game two, both from a schematic standpoint or from a psychological, motivational standpoint, to challenge his team to say, we were embarrassed a few weeks ago. Now we have a conference championship on the line. Let's go get them. Let's prove to this team, let's prove to the entire conference, let's prove to the entire nation watching tonight that we're not the team that got buried by 4 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago. Nope. That incentive was not communicated to his team effectively. Roger Dodger, what you are stating right there seems to be plain and clear. What Alabama COVID concerns by the players have they had in these 2 COVID seasons? They might have missed a player here and there, maybe. Never anyone of impact. If you know otherwise, please leave that in the comment section. Yeah, Nick Saban tested positive last year. And of course, 2 key coaches tested positive 4 or 5 days ago. Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone, the offensive line and the offensive coordinator. Mike, I'm with you. The show must go on. Find somebody who wants to play football, just like the Gator Bowl did. It may not be the best. We may get some very odd matchups. Look at the Gator Bowl. You got a team that was the runner-up team in the ACC, Wake Forest. They're getting set to play Texas A&M, a top 15 to 20 team, and then all of a sudden it's Rutgers. But it's a bowl game, and it's an opponent, and it's a game to be played. I am fascinated that Rutgers, think about this, they played Maryland the last Saturday of November. So that was like the 27th. From the 27th up until a couple days ago, there was no reason for Rutgers to be doing anything as a football team that I can imagine. You give the rest of the semester off. They come back after Christmas break. You hit winter workouts. You go to work roughly January 15th. But they've got that nice 6 weeks to just enjoy themselves, spend time with their family, finish up the fall semester, take their exams, go home, do all those things. And all of a sudden, bam, no, we're playing football, get back in here. And I'm sure if we looked at the Rutgers football roster, we would have seen names from all over the country. Going back to Piscataway, New Jersey, going to work out for 5 or 6 days to try to get ready to play a Wake Forest team. And they're about a 13, 14-point underdog. Now, Vegas is really shooting darts, trying to put the metrics that are there for the season, but trying to determine, is Rutgers really going to be invested in this game? But at the same time, they may just let it all hang out, and they got nothing to lose. Jim, I appreciate your commendation that I was able to shave. I shaved for Christmas Eve. And, I feel good. It's funny how things happen because from the time I could shave up until maybe, I don't know, about 10 years ago, I shaved every day. Like I shaved. I always kept a clean shaven look. And then I started just getting lazy. I didn't make some kind of statement. I didn't think it looked good or anything like that. I just started getting lazy. Although, yeah, there was something else in my life that did cause me not to shave. That's right. There was some input by somebody else that I now is now coming back to me. Yeah, Rob, the SEC East 0-2. Little card game wizard with family from Mike. Good. All right. Charles asking, any Voice of College Football playoff preview shows this week? So what we've got lined up this week is tomorrow I have a record with Utah, which is obviously dealing with the Utes in the Rose Bowl. I've got a Texas A&M record. And also, I believe we're going to talk Notre Dame football. So I know that doesn't answer your question, Charles. Let's see. We have a ton of content out there, Charles, with this playoff matchup. The two playoff games, I bet I have produced a dozen videos on these two games, at least. So I don't know what else we're going to talk about. Although we might have the Georgia guy on again this week. But I hope you've caught everything, Charles. So we did a Michigan-Georgia live stream for about an hour and a half. So we did a huge preview there. Go over to the Michigan channel. We did a full hour and a half there. Cincinnati, we talked to a 247 sports guy from Cincinnati about the Bearcats. We've had Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama and Gary Harris from WVUA in Tuscaloosa on multiple times to talk Alabama football. Tons of videos released on the playoff game. So is there going to be, plus I broke down the numbers, all the various statistical rankings for both teams in both matchups. Plus I gave a historical numbers breakdown, Alabama, Cincinnati, and Georgia, Michigan. So, man, I don't know what else we got left to talk about. Plus, I've been on Steve Dace's Michigan podcast a couple times to break down the game. Biggs Mikes, good to have you here. Found your channel a few months ago. Mark, appreciate all the content, especially the Michigan side. Go Blue. That kind of sent, when I said go blue, that sent, sometimes when you get, there's like a negative adrenaline rush through you, whether it's fear or something. I got one of those like piercing feelings through my soul when I said that. We are Penn State 76. I could see Clemson getting back to the top of their division with possibly Miami being their opponent from the Coastal. I am concerned about the high coaching turnover at Clemson, though. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. Red Wine, Storm Surge. God, Clemson asks, Mark, do you think Clemson has the chance to be even greater now that we have new coordinators on both sides of the ball? A new perspective, a fresh perspective is not a bad thing. A lot of organizations that are still successful can use it. But make no mistake about it, especially on the defensive side, Brent Venables will be sorely, sorely, sorely missed. So I would expect, assuming that the replacements on both sides of the ball are capable, that it can be both a positive and a negative. It can be both. Just think about any position you're talking about. If you owned a grocery store and you were replacing your manager of the produce department and you got rid of one person who had been there for 25 years and replaced them with somebody else who had some fresh ideas and some really good ideas, you'd be losing something, you'd be gaining something. So Daniel brings up the semifinal games. I'm guessing that most of you know what the situation is that's been announced by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee about the semifinal games. So if one team cannot compete in one of the semifinal games, then their opponent will gain the benefit of a forfeit and then wait to play the national championship game. So let's say Georgia can't play on Friday night. Then Michigan will just wait and advance in the national championship game to play the winner of Alabama-Cincinnati. If neither team can play, let's say Georgia and Michigan cannot play, then the Alabama-Cincinnati game becomes the national championship game. And I've got to think that if, let's say, Georgia can't play against Michigan, and then Michigan's waiting for a national championship game against the winner of Alabama-Cincinnati, and then Michigan cannot play, then after the fact, the Alabama-Cincinnati winner will be declared the national champion. I don't exactly know what would happen if, let's say, Georgia couldn't play, Michigan advanced to the national title game, and then Alabama and Cincinnati played, and let's say Alabama won, but then Alabama could not play Cincinnati or could not play Michigan. I don't know what they do there. If Michigan would win the national championship by default. I tweaked my back today. I don't know how long I'm going to be sitting here. Okay, let's do this. Mike 3883, based on the reports that we saw, Illinois was next in line after Rutgers. Nathan, well, I got to think that there are a few small positives to this in Miami not playing. Not that Mario Cristobal had much to do with the game planning or the preparation for this game against Washington State, but it's all systems go and full speed ahead. I don't know what the projection is on when they are going to procure and announce a complete staff. We'll be here on Tuesday at 1:15 Eastern time to talk Miami football, and we will have the latest, of course, then Jeff is telling us that punter Lou Headley has decided to return to the Canes in 22. Bobby believes that Nebraska would have destroyed Michigan in 97. I'm not so sure about that. Well, you know what? I'm not sure about that. There are reasonable arguments that could be made on both sides of that. Nebraska played a better bowl game. They played a much better bowl game than Michigan did. Much better bowl game. Traveling Fools is here. Yo, 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 yo. Humphrey, Mark, thoughts on the new overtime setup after a season of trial? The overtime rules that we had before that were not legitimate in a sense anyway. So what I mean by that is that I don't like contrived situations. A football game is played by kicking the ball off to start the game, playing a full 30 minutes of clock time, and then kicking the ball off to start the second half, and then playing till the end. And therefore, it would make sense to me that you would kick the ball off again, just like they do in the NFL. You would kick the ball off again to start an extra session. Okay. So I don't like contrived situations. Just throwing the ball down and placing it down at the 25-yard line, I never enjoyed that, never agreed with that. For one thing, it takes punt return, kickoff return, kickoffs, and punt coverage out of the game. So you're eliminating almost 1/3 of the game. And then you are emphasizing the field goal kicker, because if you can just maintain the football and not even move the ball, you're going to kick a 42-yard field goal, which for a college kicker, for the average college kicker, is a pretty tough kick. So you have given a huge advantage to I'm talking the original overtime rules, that where it could go on forever. You were giving the team with the better field goal kicker a pretty large advantage. Okay. Now we are down to 2-point plays. So I understand they're just trying to get the guys off the field, is what they're trying to do. And other than Illinois and Penn State, they've been pretty successful at that. Because even when we see something crazy like 9 overtimes, well, 9 overtimes today, Penn State, Illinois, is not 9 overtimes. It's nothing close to what 9 overtimes would have been 2 years ago. So it's achieving its purposes of getting the game over with and eliminating extra wear and tear or reducing it. But I'm not crazy about it, but I don't have a better remedy that's more legitimate, but also would reduce the playing time. Peanut Butter Hero. I don't know if you Clemson fans, and you're probably not a Clemson fan, may be overreacting to this 9-3 season. About mediocre. It's one season. Jay Morris says the college OT should be the NFL OT. So the NFL has made its overtime rule more fair. And now it seems like they just changed it, but it's been 15 years now, close to 15 years since they changed it, about 10 years. The first game that I remember being impacted was the Steelers Broncos. Tim Tebow threw the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. And so it's still not fair for the team that didn't get to see the ball. Still not fair, but it's more fair. At least you have to beat them with a touchdown. We are Penn State 76. Really irks me when a top 10 to 15 team loses a bowl game and says they weren't interested, didn't try. Absolutely. If you don't want to compete, don't show up. I think it's actually more to a team's credit that loses a bowl game that says, no excuses. We did our best. We were prepared. We tried. We gave it our all, and we lost. They were better than us. That's taking it like a man. It's taking it like men and like grown-ups to be accountable for it, even if they knew there were certain team players on the team that didn't take it seriously or didn't give their best. That's your fault. That's your fault. Are you a competitor? There's a game to be played. There's a game that's scheduled. Play it. And I still don't get, based on the irrelevance of a lot of late season games in college football, and not irrelevant to me, but irrelevant towards winning a championship, why these bowl games are minimized so much. If anything, more people are watching the bowl games. When Maryland, so Michael's bringing up Maryland, Virginia Tech. There are going to be so many more people watching Maryland, Virginia Tech than watched either one of their games this year. And that game's coming up on Wednesday. And we will, of course, have pregame and postgame right here at the Voice of College Football, courtesy our Virginia Tech guys, Mike McDaniel and Paul Van Wagner. Bobby, let me see if I can make this out. Every team since 2013, Florida State, that have won a title had to beat Bama, or either Bama won it themselves. Yeah. You're right. You are right. John wants to hire Urban Meyer at Nebraska. Jay Morris, am I foreshadowing the Michigan-Georgia game? Well, I've got all sorts of analysis out there about key matchups and what I think about particular players and matchups. It's all over the place. It's out there. Troy V just putting me in the rocking chair. Mark hit the age when a sneeze has the potential to tweak the back. Yeah, well, sneeze, doing the dishes. Red Wine wants Urban back at Florida for a kicker coach. That's the spot for him. Mike 3883, I'm curious about ranking all the teams on this measurement, including those teams in bowls, to see how each conference shapes up. I will rank everyone from 1 to 130 when the season's over. Ooh, I see Michael and Bobby getting into it about Michigan, Nebraska 97. We are Penn State 76. Thank you for that. John Hall is asking 2001 Hurricanes, 2019 LSU Tigers, who wins? Michael. Mark, you're saying the Rose Bowl is not a better bowl game than the Orange Bowl is? They're both major bowl games, but this season, the Rose Bowl is not a playoff game and the Orange Bowl is a playoff game. So I don't know what I said that prompted you to say that. Red Wine 65, I think you've got your years messed up. If we're talking Michigan 97, when Michigan went to the Rose Bowl in 97, they played Washington State and Ryan Leaf and won the national championship. Okay, Northwestern played Tennessee the year before. Northwestern played Tennessee. Oh, I'm sorry. Nebraska. Nebraska played Tennessee. Yes, 97. I'm sorry. I saw that North NU and Tennessee, and I was thinking about 96. Northwestern played Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl in 96. Yeah, Northwestern or Nebraska, Tennessee. Pogo, 2019 LSU had 4 or 5 close games. They're not one of the greatest ever. Or you could say LSU had a much more difficult schedule, much tougher schedule than 0-1 Miami. You could look at it that way. No comparison between the two schedules. Rob, see, I can't win here. This is what happens. Here's my opinion. You know what? Go watch my 97 video on, I think I cut a Michigan, Nebraska video. I think so. Let's see here. What? Oh, you bet. That was only 9 months ago I did that. Okay. You go watch my 1997 Disputed National Championship video. Then you tell me if I'm biased. Okay? The Nebraska people are going to tell me that I'm Michigan biased, and the Michigan people are going to tell me I'm Nebraska biased. There is not a team that has won a national championship that did not have close calls. Not one team. Dying breed. How about taking the first and second team offense and defense from each conference and have a playoff? Have all the best players together. I don't even know how to respond to that. We play a full college football season with various teams like Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and all these teams on down the line representing their schools, their teams playing together as teams. Then all of a sudden we break them up and we form all-star teams to play a playoff. I can't begin to tear apart how flawed that is. We got Tony here. Tony, good to see you. What Florida team do you think has a better future? Right this second, Miami does. Miami's got a proven coach at the Power 5 level. They've got a recruiting center where, sure, other schools come down to South Florida, but they are separated from everyone else with the portion of the state that has the best talent. They've invested in their head coach and in their coaching staff with a lot of money, which doesn't guarantee success, but at least they've given their head coach the opportunity to build a killer staff. They play in the weakest division. Florida State has to deal with Clemson, and they've got to deal with a deeper division with Boston College, North Carolina State, and others, Louisville. And Florida with Billy Napier, I'm not saying that's not a good hire, but he has so much more to contend with Georgia and the rest of the SEC. And to jumpstart a recruiting process that's been largely dead or dormant under Dan Mullen. Miami's in the best position right this second. That could change because it's not that far off. It's not like Miami's here, everybody else is down here. It's fairly close. All four of them. Throw UCF into the mix with them moving to the Big 12. And the four of them are rather close. Nobody's running away with it, but they've got the best potential and the best coaches and players in place right now. And a quarterback. They get the best quarterback. Not you, Stexer. Not you, Stexer. Man, we appreciate you being here, Not you, Stexer. He's been watching me a long time. Not you, Stexer. Do you enjoy tie sporting events? Sporting events ending in a tie, where the reason that the players are out there is to determine who's the best on that field. And we're supposed to just walk away, shake hands, and be happy with that tie. Well, for one thing, you've got to be able to at least break ties in the playoff. You can't determine a championship with a tie. So you have to have a playoff, or you have to have a tiebreaker, a overtime system somewhere. Jim Lee, maybe Florida State's going to get invited to a bowl game if this continues. Michael, hey Mark, if you were going to watch Maryland Virginia Tech, what do you expect from Talia Tagovailoa versus the Virginia Tech defense? Well, Talia, as long as he doesn't make the crucial mistake, he should have a big game. The Virginia Tech defense, though, had a pretty good season. I'm looking forward to that game. I am. Virginia Tech's going to be a bit disadvantaged at quarterback. Score prediction. Jeff's looking for score predictions on Cincinnati and Alabama. We will have ours at the Voice of College Football. You know what I may do? Don't hold me to this, but of course, all my picks are on Patreon, all the bull picks. We would love for everybody to stop by Patreon. Go to Patreon, search MarkRogersTV. Here's the deal. You get all my bowl predictions and my regular season predictions. Of course, that's over, but the regular season and the bowl predictions. And then you get the media members that we have on here on a regular basis give their bowl predictions. I might release my playoff picks and national championship game prediction here. Maybe. And then we have some things that I need to figure out and work through to set us up for the offseason on Patreon to make it well worth your while to get over there on Patreon after the season. The real MVP. Glad you said that. The real MVP is letting us know. Head on over to the USC channel. So if you love USC football, I feel sorry for you, first and foremost. But after that, head on over to the USC channel. We talk to Matt Zemek of Trojans Wire every Tuesday. So you can get those videos there. But also, if you just want to help us build the platform here at the Voice of College Football, even if you're not a USC fan, help us out. Go on over to the USC channel. So just look up Voice of College Football USC. Voice of College Football USC. Head on over to the USC channel. Subscribe right there. And if it's really bothering you to be subscribed to a USC channel, as soon as we get safely over 1,000 subs, because that is key in the YouTube algorithms, we need to get to 1,000 subs. Get us there, and then you can unsubscribe. Let's make that deal. Everybody head on over to the USC channel and sub. OU Yardbird. Why does the NFL play look like it's in slow motion compared to college play? Maybe it's similar to watching an NBA game versus watching a college basketball game, just because the crowd's more into it, because actually the reverse is reality. The NFL game is obviously faster. The players are faster. The players are better, exponentially better, and they're faster to a man. Nathan, too many damn bowl games. Don't watch them. Does anyone have a rundown of opt-outs? The last one I see here is a week ago. Sporting News, an updated list of college football stars skipping bowl games. That was a week ago. Ole Miss has no opt-outs for the Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma's got 4 opt-outs on defense. Let's see if this is accurate. This is the opt-out tracker on lineups.com. Oh, man. Okay, these are most notable opt-outs. Kayvon Thibodeau, Oregon. Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas. SMU wide receivers Reggie Roberson and Danny Gray. Notre Dame safety Kyle Hamilton and running back Kyron Williams. Michigan State running back Kenneth Walker. West Virginia running back Letty Brown. Texas San Antonio running back Sincere McCormick. They've already played. Florida already played with Zachary Carter out. Memphis wide receiver, they didn't play the game in the Hawaii Bowl. Calvin Austin did not make the trip or play. Nevada quarterback Carson Strong. Nevada's playing Western Michigan tomorrow, hopefully at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Nevada does not have quarterback Carson Strong in that game. Houston cornerback Marcus Jones not playing against Auburn. Auburn cornerback Roger McCreary not playing. Virginia Tech wide receiver Trey Turner. Iowa State running back Breece Hall. Kenny Pickett, of course. Pitt quarterback, Purdue wide receiver David Bell. And Purdue defensive end George Karlaftis. So that is not an exhaustive list, because I know we at least have 4 Oklahoma defensive players to be added to that list. Okay. DeAndre's here. No parlay beats next year. Georgia wins it all. BGPO Football Funk. DeAndre, appreciate that. Whatever that means. I don't know. Yes, homegrown Cowboy. Nebraska was in the Big 8 in 1997. They moved to the Big 10 in 2011. We are Penn State 76. Mark, were the bowls all pre-slotted back in the 90s, meaning certain teams had to go to certain bowl games based on conference finish? I don't think anyone was ducking anyone. Well, if you're talking about the Nebraska-Michigan situation, that was simply that Michigan won the Big Ten championship. Therefore, they went to the Rose Bowl. Nebraska won the Big 12 championship. It was the Big 12 at that time. It had been the Big 12 converting from the Big 8 for a few years anyway. They were the Big 12 champions, so they were designated for the Orange Bowl. Nobody was dodging anyone, if you're talking about that game in particular. But the bowl games were slotted very similar to what they are now. Some of them were locked in to be an SEC Big Ten matchup. The Citrus Bowl has been an SEC Big Ten matchup since the early 90s. The Outback Bowl has been Big Ten in the SEC since the early 90s. So those are slotted, and they can, the bowl game itself has an opportunity and has the privilege to change seedings slightly. Meaning, let's say if the Citrus Bowl had to take, based on record, Wisconsin and Arkansas, but they would rather take Penn State instead of Wisconsin. As long as Penn State's within one game of Wisconsin in the standings, they can skip seedings, but they basically stay in line. Now, there are other games. So, for example, if you look at the major bowl games, since pretty much the beginning of time for any of us concerned here, and I'm joking, I don't mean the beginning of time or the beginning of college football, but if you're a Rose Bowl enthusiast, for example, let's talk Rose Bowl. Big Ten, Pac-12, of course. This goes back to the 40s to 50s. I can't remember the exact year in which, let's see, Big Ten, Pac-12, Rose Bowl agreement. Let's see when that got locked in. And of course, it was the Pac-8, then the 10, then the 12. All right. Do I really want to get into this? It was sometime in the 40s or 50s. They definitely were together in the 50s, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Here you go. 1959? 1959. But if you look at all the bowl games, the Rose Bowl games played in the 50s, it was a Big Ten Pac-8 situation anyway. So they're locked in, and they were locked in. Whomever asked me about the 90s. We are Penn State 76. The Big 8, now Big 12 champion, went to the Orange Bowl. SEC champion went to the Sugar Bowl. The Cotton Bowl hosted the Southwest Conference champion, which the Southwest Conference was defunct starting in 1994-5. And all of those other bowl games, the Cotton, the Orange, Sugar, only had one conference champion tied to it. Therefore, they were open to invite anybody they wanted that created an attractive matchup. But there was not a system in place like there is now with the New Year's Six and previously with the BCS where they determined the best matchups. So you, for example, could be Georgia in 1980 and in line to win a national championship as the number one team in the country. Georgia could have gone out and secured, or the Sugar Bowl, I should say. Pardon me. It's not Georgia's call. The Sugar Bowl could have gone out and brought in a higher ranked opponent than Notre Dame. Notre Dame was like number 9 in the country, 8 in the country, 7, something like that. They had a loss and a tie. They could have, the Sugar Bowl got Notre Dame because, yeah, Notre Dame was good, but also because it was Notre Dame. It was going to be the most attractive TV ratings matchup. So that played into it a lot as well. So hopefully that answers your question, that there were some bowl games. So the major bowl games were all tied to a conference championship, but the other side of the matchup was open for the bowl to go out and get the most attractive matchup. Not necessarily the best on the field matchup, but the most attractive matchup. And then the Rose Bowl was, of course, the Big Ten against the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8. And then the other bowl games that we're talking about were affiliated with conferences. Although there were a number of bowl games back then, they're all affiliated to a conference agreement now. But back then, there were certain bowl games back in the day where the Liberty Bowl could just go out and grab 2 teams. The Blue Bonnet Bowl could just go out and grab 2 teams. Everybody name your favorite defunct bowl game. most of those did not involve any affiliation in the 70s and 80s to any conferences. The Garden State Bowl, the Blue Bonnet Bowl, the Peach Bowl did not, and then it locked into it was a they knocked around between the ACC and the Big Ten and the SEC in the 80s. That produced Purdue Tennessee Peach Bowl game and a Purdue Virginia game and a Purdue Army game and all sorts of different matchups. The Sun Bowl has been the Pac-12 and the ACC now. Before it was the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and then way back during most of the time going through the 80s and 90s into the 2000s, it was the Pac-12 and the Big 10 in the Sun Bowl. Michael is telling us that Maryland produces the best receivers in the NFL. Okay. We understand that Maryland's produced some good receivers. Stephon Diggs would be one of them. Yes. Not the best in college football. Maryland is not the best NFL producing wide receiver school. Come on. Come on, Michael. We love you, Michael. But let's put Maryland in his proper place. Yes, Rob, you could catch a lot of people on that one that Tennessee won the national championship the year after Peyton Manning left. Michael still touting Maryland as wide receiver U. Yes, Troy, it's been awful the last couple live streams. So thank you, everyone who's contributing to keeping a bunch of morons out of here. Not Used Xer brings up a good point that a lot of bowl invitations went out because a bowl game may want to secure a team thinking, hey, we want to make sure we get this really good team. And they may do it. Usually it wouldn't be with 2 games left in the season, but it did happen. Usually with 1 game left in the season, and sometimes that team would lose maybe the last 2 games of the season. Virginia was number 1 in the country in 1990. Number 1 in the country, Virginia, believe it. They got invited with Sean Moore and Herman Moore. They got invited to the Sugar Bowl to take on Tennessee, and they ended up losing their last 3 games of the season and finished 7-4 and played in the Sugar Bowl at 7-4. The real MVP out of the teams that hired a new head coach, which did the best, which did the worst? Well, they all generally got coaches on their level. So I got to think at this point that wow, USC did extremely well. USC did extremely well. Lincoln Riley is going to succeed at USC. I am pretty confident of that. Dan Lanning would be the biggest wild card for a major team. Dan Lanning has no experience. Oregon could have gotten a coach with experience and that's a little bit more stable or secure, but they took a chance. So I don't know that I can make the statement that anybody made, as I've been able to make in past years, to say I would not have hired him because of A, B, and C. I can tell you that some of the replacements are a bit riskier. Marcus Freeman's a bit of a risk to a small degree, just because he's never coached, been a head coach at a high level program, never been a head coach anywhere. So there's a bit of uncertainty there. We got Golden Blue Dude here. Good to see you, man. Next recruiting signing day, Michael, is the first Wednesday of February. Sean is asking about Arizona State trying to get over the hump. They have great facilities, coaches, talent rich. Well, I don't know if their facilities, I don't know this is a fact or not. Consider that everybody nowadays has great facilities, period. So Arizona, maybe one of the issues is that they have good high school football, but they probably don't have the volumes of players that they need, so they got to go elsewhere. And players are, unfortunately, for the Pac-12, leaving Southern California. Justin, so the Sun Bowl did not cancel. Miami cannot field a team. Miami is not comfortable fielding a team, whatever its stipulations are. They did not give out any specifics in regards to how many players are healthy or how many players tested positive or what the impact of the team is. They've just made the determination that they are not playing in the game. So the Sun Bowl is still looking to field another team and field a game, possibly. They're still looking at that. So the Sun Bowl has not canceled its game yet. Tim, we appreciate that so much. So think of it this way as well. Yes, I do not want to turn our offering on Patreon to be some sort of gambling advice, nothing like that. I am not an odds maker. I'm not a handicapper. I do a decent job predicting football games, typically better. I'm going to say better than anybody that's an amateur at it. I even have a better percentage than a lot of people that are out there as so-called professionals. But I would never promote myself as being some kind of handicapper, odds maker, any as being like the best in the business. I throw my numbers out there and they're all out there for everyone to see. So I do not hide or manipulate my numbers. I can't, because they're all time stamped. So I used to produce videos every Friday. So before Patreon, I produced videos with my predictions every Friday that were right there for everyone to see. And now we've gone to Patreon. But Tim, I appreciate that so much, because a lot of people have commented just like you have, that they don't care what we deliver on Patreon. And I don't want to build it like that, because I want people to come for the value. But I do appreciate that a number of people do say, hey, it's just my way of saying thank you. And regardless of what you deliver on Patreon. So, yeah, I don't want it to be looked upon either as some type of betting advice site, because it's not that. We just happen to have our predictions available during the season, and we are trying to figure out how we're going to advance the platform after the season. Golden Blue Dude, thank you so much for the reminder there. Don't forget that we now have a Voice of College Football West Virginia channel now. Yes. Get on over there, because Golden Blue Dude, he is there breaking down the Mountaineers. Exciting stuff. So head on over there. Just you can look it up right there in the search bar. Voice of College Football West Virginia. Find it and subscribe, please. Hummus Hero, yes. Going back to at least the 1950s. It's amazing how long CBS has held on to the Sun Bowl. It always struck me funny that Fern Lundquist and Gary Danielson would do SEC games the whole year, and then suddenly they're doing the Sun Bowl with Pitt and Stanford. Or last year, no, never mind. That was before the SEC started playing, that they did a couple Mountain West, or not Mountain West games, because the Mountain West wasn't playing. But anyway, they filled in with a few other games before the SEC started playing, and it was just interesting to see Lundquist and Danielson. Well, it was actually Gary Nessler, of course, Brad Nessler, now that Lundquist is retired. But they always do the Sun Bowl game, which back in the day was Jim Nantz and whomever doing the Sun Bowl. But yes, that is the only CBS bowl game. The CBS did the Cotton Bowl up until probably, I'm guessing CBS's last Cotton Bowl would have been in the mid to late 90s. And then Fox took over the Cotton Bowl up until about probably the playoffs, is when the playoff era, ESPN took the Cotton Bowl as part of the New Year's Six. Believe it or not, return trip, those USC fans, they are out there somewhere. Roger Dodger, thank you so much for subscribing to our USC channel. That's awesome. Jay Morris, you hate USC? Subscribe to the channel. Show your hate by subscribing to our USC channel, and then it'll give you extra satisfaction once we get well over 1,000 subs to unsubscribe, to show your hatred for USC. So you can't truly show your hatred right now, but you'll be able to do that once you subscribe and then unsubscribe. Sean Benitez wants an Arizona State channel. Oh, man. I can't deliver the content on all these channels yet. I would love to have an Arizona State channel. Would love to have an Arkansas channel, Minnesota channel. Fill in the blank. Stanford, whoever, UCLA, South Carolina. Tim, thank you so much for that. Oregon, Notre Dame, those are key channels as well, especially the Notre Dame channel that we are trying to get to 1,000 subs. Gold and Blue Dudes on the West Virginia channel. So what you do is, if you're not familiar, subscribe to Gold and Blue Dude, and then get on over to the Voice of College Football West Virginia channel, which is going to be Gold and Blue Dude, but it's a lot more in addition to that as well. So you're going to get stuck with me, and then you're also going to get some other West Virginia contributors there, and Gold and Blue Dude and myself with a West Virginia live stream each and every week. Plus, these boys are going to pull together some pregame and postgame, and that should be a whole lot of fun as well. Yes, Jay Morris, the USC channel. Hummus Hero, what does Rutgers have to lose in this game against Wake? They're going to get to practice like 5 times. They're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Fly down there, let it all hang out, throw the book at them, all the trick plays, just go after it, get after it. And if Rutgers wins, they can be like, we just beat this team that went to the ACC championship game. And if they lose, even if they lose by 50, they've got every excuse in the book, and they're even legitimate excuses. I want someone to do me a huge favor and have Christopher Foote, have Chris explain to you how in a team with 4 losses and 1 tie in 1984, Iowa should be considered a partial national champion. And if you can somehow understand that, get back to me and I will crown you as the king of college football intellect, because you must be much more discerning, understanding, and intelligent than I concerning things mattering in college football, because that one is beyond me. Iowa 8-4-1 should be a partial national champion, according to Chris, in 1984. Blake is telling us that Rutgers is not bad. By what measurement, I don't know. Uncle Rico, I'm not sure I understand why Mark has so many different channels. Don't know any other channels that take that approach. Seems like it would make more sense just to have one channel for all content. Okay, I'm not going to explain why it does make sense the way I'm doing it, but I understand your perspective. But believe me, it makes much more sense this way. All Reasonable Gump says, I would like to call in if Mark fires up the phones tonight. It's crossed my mind, but at this point, we've been on for how long? And what I really want to do is I want to get out of this chair and I want to stretch my neck and my back and get into my recliner over there, my massage chair. Take pics of you crying when your team loses, send to Cheryl. Then Cheryl can send to me and we can share a little chuckle, and then we can show them on here. Tim is telling us the 247 USC, I believe is their name. USC football stuff is top notch. Yes, it is. If I put everything that I produce on this channel, it would be a disaster. It would be a complete disaster. We'd be pumping out videos like every 4 minutes. People would be confused. They'd be frustrated, irritated. No, it works so much better this way. So much better. Mark is asking, does anyone think that Michigan will start JJ against Georgia? Anyone? No, not anyone. Chris is getting philosophical tonight. If you think about it, all games are meaningless. Chris, you are right. Golden Blue Dude. 95 subs away from 5,000. Congratulations, sir, beforehand, because I know you're going to get there very soon. Appreciate that. We have certainly helped each other. Anything else, folks? Anything else? Oh, this is about the time that we were talking about bowl games. What happened to the Outback Bowl? Pow Car's here. USC has the most Rose Bowl wins in history by a zillion. All right. I think we are just about ready to shut things down. I appreciate everybody being here. And so tomorrow, I've got Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and Utah records for sure. We might be back sometime tomorrow night. And then we get kicking in with the bowl games. Hopefully, we only have one on Monday. Hopefully, one on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we were supposed to have from 11 a.m. to midnight. We're down at least one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, maybe two on Wednesday, whatever it is. So we're down another 4 bowl games this week. We'll see. So basically, the plan at this point is to go live late night every night after the bowl games are over. And who knows, if we've got cancellations, that might be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But late night, when the bowl games are all over, we will be here to wrap up bowl play each and every day, talk college football playoffs. I've got 2 videos coming out, one in which, well, I just released the one comparing what an 8-team, 12-team, and 16-team playoffs would look like this year. And also another video coming out sometime tomorrow in which I am looking at the talent of all the participants of the semifinal games, not just this year, but in 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, and 14 during the college football playoff era to match up the talent on each roster during the semifinal games to determine whether it matters. Has the more talented team typically won the college football playoff semifinal games? What do you think? There have been 21 so far, 7 playoffs. Yeah, 7 playoffs, 3 games per playoff. That's 21 games. 21 games. Do you think the more talented team, according to the team talent rankings, has typically won the games? Does it matter, or is it just random? Maybe I'll skip to the end of the conversation to see if anybody's talking to me. Man, and I got a long way to go. Good Lord. All right. Chris, I don't want to play off. I've never heard him say that before. Yes. Cheryl. Why does Cheryl even need to talk about this? Personal attacks. Who's being personally attacked? Catalyst 99. I understand your point about 16 teams in a playoff in college football, but it's 16 out of 130. Not the 14 out of 32 in the NFL. Very different. But I understand you don't want it to be too large. Might get some 10-3 teams in there. So yes. Sono Faseric, Bragging rights about USC's Rose Bowl record is kind of lame considering it's a 10-mile drive for them. Yes, it's been a big advantage. They still have shown up and won the games. So your point's well taken. It has been a factor, but they're still showing up and winning the games consistently throughout their history of the Rose Bowl. Their Rose Bowl record is exceptional. And of course, the last time USC was at the Rose Bowl was against Penn State in 2016. And what a game that was. 25-9. Thank you, Swampy McGee. So this week, let's take it in this week. Be here this week. We're going to be here at least every night after the bowl games. And if big things happen during the bowl games, I'll be here. In addition to that, we've got a regular schedule of shows. Miami, Iowa, Nebraska on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm not going to be able to watch any bowl games. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, Miami on Wednesday. But I'm going to be here late night after all the bowl games every night this week. And then New Year's Eve, be here. I will at least jump on right before the national champion, the college football playoff games, the national championship semifinal games. And then if there's any time between games, maybe I'll jump on, and then certainly full blowout after. Hopefully there are 2 games played. We usually hope for 2 good games. Now let's just hope for 2 games on New Year's Eve. And we'll be here to celebrate New Year's Eve together and 2022. I will be here all night after the college football playoff games. And even if the games were bad, we'll celebrate just being here together, all of us. So every night this week, college football bowl games, we're going to make the most of it. Even if we have 5 more cancellations, we're going to make the most of it, the best of it. We're going to be here after every series of games, every night, live, bring in the folks that love college football that you know. If people are out there and they don't know that we're here talking college football with you every day, let them know. And let's have 1,000 people on here every night this week. That would be phenomenal. Thank you for all that you do. I don't want to miss anybody's comments. Oh boy, do I really need to tear you down, Chris? Yes, think about it, people. 2014, Alabama and Florida State. Which one of those teams won the national championship that year? The answer is neither of them. The answer to which one of those teams could have won a national championship showed that they were worthy of possibly winning a national championship would have been Alabama. Of course, they played Ohio State extremely tough. Those were, I believe, the 2 best teams in the country that year. Ohio State was the best team. They won the national championship, but they played Alabama to a great game, 42-35. That was the national championship game. I said it before the national championship game, and certainly it showed after Ohio State ripped up Oregon. But you're looking at the 2 teams that lost the national semifinal games. But those are the 2 teams that you wanted to play in a championship game that year. Swampy McGee, college football playoffs. Alabama's 8-3. Clemson is 6-4. Other than that, Oregon's 1-1. Florida State's 0-1. Ohio State is 3-3. Notre Dame's 0-2. Georgia's 1-1. Michigan State's 0-1. Washington's 0-1. Oklahoma's 0-4. And there you have it. I think that's everyone. LSU's 2-0. Everybody check online to see, do we have a team to play for the Sun Bowl? After what happened with Texas A&M and Rutgers getting that spot, and us understanding it was online that Illinois offered to go and is apparently the next in line from an academic standpoint, they should be working out and ready to go. Seeing all these COVID cancellations, I would think Illinois has been working out, ready to go, maybe practicing, maybe. Uncle Rico is looking for a top 25 cheerleader ranking. We'll leave that up to you. 2017 would have been Georgia Clemson when Alabama, in fact, won the national championship. All right, folks, once again, it's bowl week. So we are kicking it hard here every day, 24/7, 365, every day concerning college football, even in the middle of May. But you know what we're going to do? Bowl week. Every week, we're going to be here to talk college football and break down the bowl games with you. I'm going to plan on watching every bowl game, even though my DVR is shot and the knuckleheads at the cable company put me off the other day. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I got pissed off about that and tweeted about it all over the place. And they finally got in touch with me, and they're going to be here Tuesday morning. Well, if I cannot DVR every bowl game, that upsets me because I can still get online later in the day because they're all there to be watched later. But I want to be able to watch them in the moment so I can juggle games and watch them all at the same time. If you look at a situation like Wednesday, bowl games start around noon. I know one's been canceled, and I'm not able to keep track of which ones are when, but they start at around noon and go all the way until like 1 or 2 in the morning on Wednesday. And I've got live shows at 12:30, 1:30, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to be way behind and try to watch all those bowl games and then come on late night with all of you. So if the last game of the day, God willing, we get all these games in, or at least the late night games, I will be on at the conclusion of the last game unless it's decided. If it's a blowout, if we're looking at a 42-10 game midway through the third quarter, I'm jumping on here and we'll get going. All right, so every night this week, I'm going to be here talking college football with all of you and taking your calls right here at the Voice of College Football. So we will see you sometime on Monday. And then since we've got late night games Tuesday through Saturday, New Year's Day, then we will be on here late night with all of you. Let's make it happen. Please contribute in any way that you possibly can. That could be just smashing the like button. That could be contributing Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. Just search MarkRogersTV. That could be subscribing to various channels, especially those ones that we're getting close to 1,000. West Virginia would be a great selection. USC is getting close to 1,000. We're only about 30 away. Please subscribe there. Watch the videos. Share the videos out on social media. Get us some sponsors here. Just hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. MarkRogersTV at Gmail. See you tomorrow night.